Hello my lovely friends and welcome to this cozy writing vlog. Today I am starting a new novel. Planning one anyway. For anyone new, let me just reintroduce myself. I am K.T.KAYE. I am a published author with 2 novels released and hopefully a third on the way. I previously wrote YA fantasy but have since begun writing adult fantasy. In my past writing blogs you've seen me working on a project that I am referring to as Project Red. This is not its actual title, it's more of a code name for that project. And I've actually just got that that novel back from its first round of edits, which is exciting, even if it will be adding a bit more work to my plate. I debated for a while whether I wanted to start a new novel now or whether I wanted to wait until Project Red had gone through a few more rounds of editing, or perhaps even going into like submission process or whatever. However, I just wanted to write. I kind of just needed a new project, and this novel that I'm going to begin is actually going to be it'll hopefully be the second novel in a series, with Project Red being the first and this being the sequel, hopefully. So I feel like working on them both at the same time will actually be kind of helpful, because then I can see any kind of plot holes which appear in the second one might, link back to things in the first one. I can see if there's any gaps that I need to change or add in stuff before, it gets to the final edits and submission or whatever, Last time, I'm not sure if I was actually already started writing Project Red before I started this channel, or whether it was the project I started on as I started, this channel up. But either way, I didn't make like a proper writing series for Project Red, like showing my process beginning to end or whatever. However, this time I kind of want to do like a proper little kind of series for this and show the full development of this novel. I think it would be really fun. For this novel, I have decided to go with the codename Project Ash. If one day this novel gets released, then this codename will hopefully make sense to you. But we are nowhere near there yet. This novel will also be an adult fantasy novel. It's going to be very witchy and magical, with lots of links to fairy tales. But that's all I'm going to tell you about it for now. Let us dive into turning my ideas for this story into what will hopefully be a proper novel. If any of you have watched my Writer's Rambles videos from like about 2 years ago on this subject, you'll find that my process hasn't changed that much since then. I still like to start my writing process with a mind map or a list. This is where I jot down everything I know about my story. Absolutely everything, even if it's really, really random. Sometimes when I start a novel for the first time, I can just be staring at the page with very little to start with. But for this project, I already know a lot about the world and what I want to happen with this story, because it's actually going to be the second one in the series. However, there are new characters and storylines that I want to introduce, and honestly, that's kind of the part I really need to think on. I know roughly what I want from these characters, but I imagine it will change a lot between me making this mind map to starting the first draft. I do really love mind maps as a medium to get my thoughts out, and I do actually have a whole video when I just talk about how I use them in writing a story and, just starting my process if you are interested. I have tried using digital mind map tools, but I just guess I'm old fashioned. I like having my notes, taking notes longhand. I also like to print off my notes that I make on Notion, which is what this like Filofax is for. I've had this Filofax for like ages, but I've never used it. Then I don't really know why, but just one day I thought it would be great to have all my Notion notes physically, not just digitally. I guess I just don't trust technology and fear it'll one day crash and I'll lose all my work. That said, I do like to use Notion as sometimes it is just easier to type out my thoughts opposed to writing them down. This is my project page for this novel. There isn't loads there yet or really that much that I can show you, as I just haven't got much here yet. I do have some planning pages where I can type out some of my first ideas of things, world building, magic systems, and character lists. Some of these are actually from Project Red's Notion spread, which I've just, will continue from book 1 into this one. And then over here I have my Pinterest mood board for the series. Let's have a closer look at this. As you can see, it's very witchy. You could say it's also kind of traditional fantasy setting, lots of magic, quite dark at times. Sisterhood is also a major theme in my novels, so you can see kind of a lot of images of kind of girls together. Family is another theme. It's a trope that I adore, and therefore I kind of just had to write about it. Back to my Notion page. This will definitely fill up. I plan to type up and expand upon some of the ideas from my mind map. Down here I also have a playlist that I loved listening to when I was writing the first novel. It's actually the Discovery of Witches series soundtrack, and I adore it. That and also the Agatha All Along soundtrack. I was listening to both of them on repeat. Now I'm going to spend some time typing up some of the ideas and developing some of the ideas from my mind map and also from my Pinterest board. I have also discussed this in one of my Writer's Rambles videos about how you can use your kind of Pinterest mood board to develop ideas. In that video I talked about how they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and by creating a mood board you have all these possible words about your story. The pictures say something about your novel, even if you haven't necessarily thought too deeply about them when you were pinning them to your board. You still chose them for a reason. I'm sure it could have been just because they looked nice, but that doesn't mean they can't look nice and also help you develop an idea at the same time. So after I make a mood board or a Pinterest board, I do like to study it. My mood boards aren't just decorative. I can kind of use them when I'm developing ideas. An image might say something about a setting that I hadn't realised yet, or maybe an outfit might say a lot about a character. I noticed just how many witchy images I went for in this board, and that just kind of shows me that I really want this book to be even witchier than the first one. It's been so long since I've been back at the beginning of writing a novel, and it's kind of taking some getting used to, like being back at the start and remembering that it's just the planning stages, but these planning stages are important, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe it's kind of just like a form of imposter syndrome, but I really struggle on days where like I haven't got words onto the page. It doesn't feel like I'm doing anything or, working. Even though planning is so important, you need it. I think also because I'm a bit of like a pantser or a discovery writer, whatever term you prefer to use with that. So there are kind of limits to how much planning I can do before I just need to write and get started and just see what happens as I go. That said, I have been coming up with a lot of ideas and I'm kind of really happy with what I've been doing today. It feels like it's coming together, and I almost feel like I'm at the point where I can sort of just start like writing stuff down. Sorry if I keep looking down. I realise I've overfilled my tea a little bit.